Let's drink beer. It makes my mind clear. It takes me away from here. Let's drink beer. Let's drink beer. Pump it up, lift it up, drink it up.
How's it going? We're back on The Art of Beer. We're joined today by Jen Ackrill, brilliant mixologist. Brilliant.
Mixologist.
Great friend, lovely storyteller, and wonderful all-around human being. We're going to drink some beer with her, so let's have some beer.
Yeah.
Some out. So what are we passing out?
We're going to do some Rolling Rock. The reason we brought this one is our good friend Jen has the distinction of being from 3 different areas in this country and throughout her life. She's from Pennsylvania. She worked in San Francisco, and now she's relocated to work in Hawaii. So she's got a unique knowledge of 3 very different areas of our country. And along with that, their beer scene, their cocktail scene, their hospitality in general. So that's why we wanted to have her on.
Cheers.
Drink some beers with us.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Labels out. How do you drink labels out this way? Oh, it's a dilemma. There we go.
You got to hold from the bottom.
This way.
Yeah, mine's
Hold
impossible.
from the bottom. Okay, so we chose Rolling Rock Extra Pale because that's, as it's from Latrobe, PA.
I think they say it Latrobe. too.
Latrobe?
I think they say
I don't know.
Latrobe.
I've never been to Pennsylvania. I don't know.
And he's an Eagles fan.
I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh, your team's doing well too, right?
They are. It's fantastic. Maybe I'll make it there one day to see them. But it's pretty much one of the only beers that I've ever known that's from Pennsylvania. They had a great marketing campaign years ago, and it always made sure they said from Latrobe, PA. So that's what people remembered.
Mm-hmm.
So
Since we never could get Yingling,
yeah.
right?
still-
The other great Pennsylvania beer.
I don't think we'll ever get, but
It
we
might.
should.
Now they're making their way to the West Coast, so
Just have to get on the boat and go over.
I think eventually Yingling will make it to Hawaii.
I think it's
So if you're ever traveling to Hawaii and you have some Yingling, stick it in your bag, bring it to the Art of Beer crew, and we'll trade you whatever we got.
We'll trade you for some Rolling Rock.
Yeah, we'll give you a bunch
But
of
I
Rolling
think
Rock.
so because I'm specifically from Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
I think that you really need to get Iron City Lights, which
Okay.
is the beer of Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
It's
Yeah.
like the working man's beer.
Yeah.
And for me, I remember like in the 70s growing up with Iron City and Icy Light, and they say it Iron City because we have a delicious accent from Pittsburgh.
Iron.
Iron City. But when the Steelers won those several Super Bowls that they won, those were like the collector's cans with like the whole team on there. So that is like
yeah,
my
nice.
most vivid memory of beer as a kid.
So that's like the one Grandpa has on the shelf, and
Yeah,
if you get
yeah,
near
they're
it, he yells
collectors.
at you. He's like, "Don't touch it."
Yeah. Yeah, they're collector's items, but I mean, it's not a delicious beer. It's like real malty and.
Don't send us Iron City Brewing. Send us Yinglings. Don't put it on.
Yeah.
Iron
That's-
City Light.
Icy Light is the lighter version of the.
So what is it, like $8 a 12-pack or something?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. It's super inexpensive, affordable.
Affordable. Yeah, then we don't say inexpensive. We say
for
affordable.
The working class.
Working class.
I mean, Yingling's not cheap. I mean, not expensive either, and it's not. It's
delicious.
like it is, but it's also like it ain't like the best beer in the world. I know people from like Philadelphia are gonna shoot me, but
the Phillies fan. They're gonna revoke your Phillies
coming from
card.
a Phillies fan. But it's like it's a nostalgic beer, right? Like people.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, same thing for other people from Pennsylvania drinking Rolling Rock, or if you're from Canada and you're drinking Labatt, it's like there's certain macro beers that are just nostalgic. You talk to certain people of a certain age, like Coors Banquet,
Yeah.
because it was like they would
There was
head
no
out
Coors
west,
Light.
and they would head out west, and they'd end up in Colorado or somewhere, and they'd go to the Coors Brewery or somewhere around Denver, and they'd have Coors Banquet. And it was like,
These are fancy.
yeah, and
Primo here out back in the day.
yeah, and it's kind of, it doesn't matter like how great of a beer it is. It's just it's your beer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of, and it's weird. And Coors Banquet though it really hits a niche for like a lot of industry people love Coors Banquet because like I know a lot of guys have bars in yeah.
That one there.
But people in like San Francisco, we have friends that have bars and they either buy cases of Coors Banquet or Coors with some Yellow Bellies for their staff for after work, like Kevin Dietrich. No, edit that out.
See, but
Our friends do that, but they just get that for the staff because when they make cocktails all day long, and they're
the
like,
last thing you
I
want is
want a beer that will
100%.
crush,
Yeah.
and they get banquets.
But But I can't do Coors Bank. I mean, out of the can's fine. It's got to be the stubby bottles.
Yeah.
Oh, the bottles, yeah.
It's something about it. I don't know. It's like, it's got to be the stubby bottles.
I just hate that it reminds me of like, sometimes I feel like, I used to drink Red Stripe before.
Yeah.
Years ago, and then when I grab that bottle, I think about Red Stripe. And then
Oh,
I don't
the
want to,
flavor's different.
and then I go, hooray, beer! So, we're gonna cut to a little bit of break. Everybody go to your local liquor store and go get a Red Stripe and then come back and say, hooray, beer!
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser digital full access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHITHING.
Welcome back. Hopefully everybody got a cold beer to share while you guys are watching the show. We're with Jen Ackrill. And let's crack another one. What should we do?
Cold beer?
Yeah, let's do some more cold beer. We're on a cold beer trip right now. So we got Montucky Cold Snacks. We use the term so much, crushable, but it's the perfect term because Cold Snacks is completely crushable.
We need a thesaurus.
Something more than crushable.
Beer out of Montana. It's just cold, light, crisp lager.
It's called Cold Snack because you literally can just put it away quickly like it's a snack.
It's no Rolling Rock.
It's
But factually, it's like no Rolling Rock. I mean,
It's a beer a lot of cooks and chefs come in and buy.
I
lighter
can
on alcohol
100%
too,
see
right?
that,
Yeah, and
It's delicious.
it's cheap. I mean, it's $10 for a 6-pack of these. And in Montana, from what I heard, it's a lot cheaper. You know, like if it's $10 for a 6-pack in Hawaii.
One of my favorite things about this beer too, on the back they have their Cycle logo, and we'll zoom on it later. It says, "Don't be a jerk." Recycle. Like just put it in a recycle
It's
bin.
inspirational.
I love it though. But
So you're from Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you make your way out to Hawaii and get into the business?
I started in the business in Pittsburgh as a server and then went to San Francisco. There's a lot of people in Pittsburgh that either went to Boston or went west to San Francisco. There's like a whole bunch of people that went that way. I hadn't gone to Boston until after I'd been to San Francisco, and then when I went to Boston, I was like, oh, I would have liked this here. I would have been married to some Southie dude with like a neck tattoo, like 100%. 100%. But I went west.
so you're in San Francisco, you got a British guy.
Yeah, I got an English guy. I went the exact opposite way. Exact opposite. I think my family's probably pretty happy about that. But yeah, went to San Francisco, followed some boy out there, and I remember like I had been there for a couple of days, and I was like, oh yeah, this is home. This is home. And it was awesome. It was in the 90s, and it was fun. I started working at a place called Blowfish Sushi, and didn't know how to bartend, but lied, because I was a girl and it was the 90s and you could do that.
Yeah.
You didn't really need to know too much, and just started kind of like...
Wait, did you lie your way into your first bartending job?
I did not.
Did you
You're
bar
like the
back your
second
way?
person I know. I did.
I probably should have. It would have happened a year earlier.
Did
but
you
I
bar
just-
back or did you...
I bar backed.
You bar back?
Yeah.
Did you bar back or did you lied?
Yeah.
So are you saying like bartenders are full of shit or something?
Yeah.
Lawyers and bartenders don't trust us.
No. Trust us.
Oh, yeah.
Not with all the details.
No, it was like, so it was a time where like there was one place that was doing sake cocktails, and I was like, oh, that's a good way to practice, because we didn't have our liquor license at the time. We were just a beer and wine bar, so easily a person that didn't have any knowledge on how to make cocktails could easily do that, right? And so I just started practicing making sake cocktails, and so we got pretty well known for it. Blowfish lasted for like 20 some years, I think, which is in San Francisco, you know, terms is a long time. That's a long time for a restaurant to be around. Not like
generations.
Yeah. And in the Mission, it was at like 20. It's where Trick Dog is now. So it was at like 20th and Bryant. And at that point, there was
Before the Mission was.
yeah, it was a weird little restaurant in this neighborhood. There was gang fights at that corner because there was like different like factions of gangs that would come in, and it was like these young kids just beating the schnooky out of each other, and we'd be like, well, we're gonna hang out for a day and drink some Fernet. And
It's kind of good though. I mean, you started there, and then you worked your way into Rye in San Francisco. Which,
Yeah.
if you haven't been to Rye in San Francisco, you should probably stop there. It's
yeah.
one of the premier cocktail bars for
It's
a
one of the
long
first
time
craft
running.
cocktail bars. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool. It was a cool little bar, and we had this like awesome team that we started with, and it was like a fun time to sort of just start tinkering with cocktails.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really cool.
That's how it all starts. You just start playing with stuff, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
we talked to a lot of the beer makers, and they're like, well, let's try this. Let's just throw that in there and see how it turns out. But the
Yeah.
same going with cocktails. You're just messing with stuff, so it works for me.
Yeah.
You gotta innovate and tinker, and I mean that's how we get all these crazy these crazy beers, right? Like someone had to go like, oh, let's throw coconut and passion fruit and coffee and vanilla.
See how that turns
I'm
out.
down with all of them.
Right? So it's kind of the same goes all the way around.
Yep.
Because otherwise you'd be stuck with the same.
We'd be drinking
Same.
Rolling Rocks and Montuckies.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yep. Well, guys, we're gonna take a quick break. Come back and join us afterwards for more Jen Ackrill.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Windows Hawaii. Trust Windows Hawaii.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Art of Beer. We're with Jen Ackrill, great mixologist. She's going to make a drink for us. We're changing it up just a little bit here. But we're going to use this beer from Ola Brewing Company, the Hazy IPA, Hazy Light.
Let's crack it.
Should we taste the beer
Yeah, we
first?
should taste the beer first.
Do that. Grab me that
Mix
bottle
your
of stuff that I made. So this little guy did not exist before this morning. I was driving in and I was like, I was worried to be on the show because I'm not like a great beer connoisseur person. It's not my jam. I'm like a Rolling Rock or that Montucky is my go-to. And so I thought maybe I can make a cocktail with a beer in it. And
Oh wait, you needed a beer for the cocktail? It's in the glass.
that's okay. Hang on.
What
You
you
know,
got?
in my purse I have always
I
beer.
I should have known. Jen Ackrill has purse beers
I
everywhere.
always have purse
and I
beers.
should have known that, and I love you for it.
You see me out anywhere, there's a beer available.
So what is the?
So this guy it's just a sour. So I thought I'd make something like super easy that everybody could like kind of crank out at home. It's plantation pineapple rum with sugarcane Danes tropical syrup, which is a lilikoi passion fruit syrup, and some lime juice and Bitterman's tiki bitters. And then I'm gonna top it off with like a little bit of the
With a
hazy.
IPA.
Yeah.
This is the sugarcane Dane.
No, that's not sugarcane
No,
Dane.
that's Jen Ackrill.
That's the cocktail artist thing.
This is
Rest in peace.
Jen Ackrill's cocktail artist triple sec syrup.
With her
I like the old bottle. It had
I
the
know
fake
it had my
old
face
bottle.
on it.
I still have some at home. I make people drink booze out of it.
It's since been discontinued.
Ah,
That's okay, but it was super fun.
that was a good.
It's a
while it
fun little
lasted.
thing. Yeah, when your mom walks through Walmart.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Beer cocktail.
Beer cocktails.
Your cocktails.
Ooh, that's good.
That's delicious.
What's the herbal? Is it the bitters?
It's the bitter.
herbal,
Yeah, so
right?
that's the tiki bitters that's coming through. There's that cinnamon and that kind
Yeah,
of like
like nutmeg,
yeah.
almost clovey.
Yeah.
But
But then it kind of, without the beer, and the beer is actually like an integral part. It's not like I just dumped beer on it because it was like a cool thing to do and I wanted to be cool with you guys.
No, but it's a hazy. You're getting a little bit of the hop from the hazy in there to add to the fruit of the passion fruit. So it kind of plays with that very well.
So I'm like an idiot savant with it. I'm like, I know what will taste good with it. But I think when it's by itself, it's a little too sweet, a little too like, it tastes like a pineapple lifesaver. And then when you toss the hazy on top of it, it like mellows it out and leaves it not so sweet. So it's, again, what was that word that we were trying to have a synonym for? Crushable.
Very delicious.
yeah, that's
Very,
really good.
see, that's not as fun.
I know. That's why I said it. It's weird. This is a brunch cocktail.
It is
Oh,
a
yeah.
brunch cocktail.
Now, currently, Jen is the F&B manager over at How Tree Lanai at
What is
Kaimana
F&B?
Hotel. I'm sorry, food and beverage manager. So she's in
There
charge.
is actually a person that is the F&B director, and I'm the
Are you assistant to the regional director?
I am the assistant because I'm from Pennsylvania. That's in Scranton. I'm definitely, you have to be like that. So I'm the beverage director.
Beverage director.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
there's a person above me that you know.
if you haven't been
tell them what to
to,
do.
she's the beverage director at How Tree Lanai at Kaimana Hotel. Probably one of the better brunch spots I like. It's right on the beach in at Kaimana Beach.
Yeah.
Kind of outdoorsy restaurant, bar, sit there, enjoy that. If you can make it in for sunset, it's a great spot as well too.
Or
And
you can go in today and, I mean, maybe not today.
we could go after this.
But there is a seal that's propped up on the underside of the lifeguard stand, so the lifeguards can't get up and down because the seal is literally at the bottom.
So
of the
don't go in the
lifeguard
water because the lifeguards aren't paying attention.
stand. Yeah, they got other stuff going on.
This is really good.
It's a tasty
This
little
is a
drink,
brunch
right?
Yeah,
cocktail.
this is
I mean,
really good.
put this on the menu.
But like I said, this didn't exist before we went behind the bar and we're like, Let me throw some things together.
Some of the best concoctions, though, have come from that very thing. Like, I need to make something that tastes good.
Yeah.
You throw everything that tastes good in a glass.
How do
and
you
add one more thing?
How do you think, like, when you're tasting beer, to like, because I that's completely away from me. Like, how to put a beer into a cocktail. It's like I wouldn't know where to even start.
I think so. I've always talked about cocktails being like, or ingredients for cocktails being like crayons. So they're just low notes or high notes or dry notes, right? So they're just like tools that you use to kind of like make that drink a little bit better. So you just kind of like toy with it.
Also adds a little carbonation depending on what beer you're adding in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never thought to put that with any of that.
Yeah.
Like it.
That's why she's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to take a quick little break. We'll be right back with the art of beer.
Ashley is America's #1 furniture store. We have everything you need for your home. At Aloha Kia, you know a guy. Visit us at our 7 dealerships statewide. Purchase a brand new Kia using Aloha Kia Express. Purchase at alohakia.com.
Welcome back. We're going to keep rolling, drinking some more beers, but I think we still want to talk about beer cocktails.
I'm fascinated. Because like, we were chatting, and for the most part, most people think of like, you know, you take a radler or a shandy, right? Where it's just you're mixing beer with something else. So you take lemonade soda or grapefruit soda, and you pour some wheat beer or a light lager in, and boom. Then it's like, but that's just adding beer like on top of like a soda, right? But like this, I would never would have thought to put a hazy IPA with lilikoi and bitters and pineapple rum, and you get something that you're right, like that little bit balances that out so perfectly.
Yeah.
Where like. Have you ever, what other types of beers have you used or styles? So if someone watching going, if I'm drinking a beer,
Right.
like where do I go from that?
I feel that a lot of it is just like knowing what the flavor profile is, right? So you're gonna use it as like another ingredient in the drink, right? Not just as something you're just like putting on top of it. So if you were, for this one, right, there was some sweetness that needed to be balanced out. The sweetness also needed like a little bitter to kind of like chill it a little bit because it was too sweet. And so just to put that hazy on there and just kind of like bring that excitement level in that drink up made that, I guess, the reason why I chose that one. But there's other ones that you can do. The coconut porters are great to mix with. You know, if you did oddly an amaretto sour, if you added a coconut porter to it, is gonna, I know, see your face, and it's not like you can't put like this much.
Right.
And it's just like, you know, an ounce and a half, maybe 2 ounces.
I keep thinking about if you got like a barley wine that's a little bit more on the age size, of stirring it into a Manhattan. So you get like a big bold rye to start off, a little bit of vermouth, and just kick in barley wine that will have some raisin and some stuff like that. With
Also
some
adds
bitters
a little bitterness.
Yeah,
to
and
it.
just stir it up and pour it into Manhattan cocktail. I think that would be.
I think the
I'm
key
gonna have
is
to get into that.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to get you some like. Actually, we got some JWL Harvest we could try because that is like an English old like a stock ale, so it is a barley wine in a sense, and it's been aged, and we should try to open that and see what you think about it.
You know what would be fun too is to maybe like have us sort of like taste it and think like, how could you use this in a cocktail?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like-
I'd be curious because this.
Yeah.
So they make this beer once a year. It's JWL's. They're in Manchester. England. Manchester. And it's the beer they make. It normally is around the holidays. It's not a holiday ale. It's not spiced or anything, but it's basically like an English barley wine. And it's aged. This one is not matured in. Some of them get aged in casks. It's 11.5%. So this is brewed in 2015. So normally they're aged, and they're allowed to oxidize a little. So you get that allows. Some of those bolder malt flavors to break down, and you get more like dark macerated plum, you know, like really dried fruit, raisins, a darker fruit characteristics, right?
So I think as you're saying that, my brain is already going like, okay, what can we do with that, right? Because those are the flavors that I'm gonna try to like think about.
So you're gonna get like sweetness up. I mean, it's meant to be sweet. And
Not so good.
That's not your stuff.
It's like
Oh my goodness, it's delicious.
It's like the edges of banana bread. It's like everything but the banana.
Yeah.
Like that malt, that brown sugar.
Almost like really like deep molasses, like.
This has got a pretty interesting nose in it. I almost smell like burnt peach.
And I think a lot of that's that oxidation process, which normally in most beers would be you never want you know, the oxygen to
Right.
touch the beer. You don't want it dissolving into the liquid. It's gonna
It
ruin
works
it.
well with this.
Yeah, and that's how you get those deep, like it's almost like macerated raisins, right? Like rum raisin almost.
You know, spiced rum.
Spiced rum, right?
And I feel so for me, where my brain goes with this, and we're thinking those like holiday notes, and it's 11%, right? And it's probably expensive.
Yeah.
Right. So you.
It's like $12. It's like $12 a bottle.
Yeah,
bottle.
and that's expensive.
It's like $1
right?
an ounce.
I'm talking to young bartenders out here. Do not put that in a cocktail.
But if
Your
you're at
manager
home,
will freak out. But if you put like a really cool vermouth in here, and then did a little soda on top of it to lengthen it, I think that would be like a really good add-on there. I think that would be really fun to do like a highball version of it.
would you do like a sweeter vermouth?
Yeah,
or
like a sweet Italian vermouth.
like a
yeah, like-
Antica or
Antica might be too big for it.
really?
Yeah, Antica might be
Antica's
too
got a
big
lot
for
of
it.
vanilla in it
It's-
too,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
it
might
does.
not.
But
play
I
so
think
well,
maybe
but
something
a
like
Dolce
Dolany
Rouge
or
so.
Oh,
Cocchi
okay.
di Torino.
Yeah.
I think those would be good because then they have those like piney notes in there too that would sort of expand on that kind of Christmas idea of it. It could be a really good holiday drink.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna go raid the fridge and go look for some vermouth. Join us on the extended edition where we take everything out of that fridge and make a cocktail with beer. Jen Ackrill's gonna stick around and have some more fun with us. Go over to YouTube or anywhere else you get your podcasts, and we'll see you in a bit.
And we're back on the extended edition of the Otter Beer with Jen Ackrill, who's just blowing my mind about beer cocktails and using beer and putting different ingredients in it. So now it's my turn. I want to like share a beer with you that you may have never had, or you know maybe some flavors that are different. As you said, normally it's like lighter. So let's open up that one from Firestone Barrel Works, Neckbones. So it's a nectarine barrel-aged sour made at Firestone Walker in their Buellton, which is going to be north of Santa Barbara, and all of it's been wood aged.
Come on, Dave.
And what they do is they take
Dave's struggling right now.
they shove the cork in there really well.
Honey, can you open
Watch
this for
out.
me?
Make sure-
Well, geez, now that
Yeah.
making fun of Dave, I can't get it off.
Daniel can't get it either.
Tim set us up with this.
Hey, Tim, you want to help me out?
It is a couple years old.
It's coming.
But it's cool. They gather fresh fruit from that entire area in Central California, and it's aged on all of these fresh, beautiful nectarines.
I can't wait to taste it.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Maybe I
I
don't
need this
know.
fucking cork off. We're gonna drink it.
Anybody got a saber? You know, let's just like
There we
whack
go.
that thing
You
off.
might as well saber it.
That's
sober
the
over
first
here.
alcohol. Good job.
Jesus,
Blow up on me. Good thing they put it in heavy-duty bottles.
this thing's not coming off.
It's coming.
There we
I
go.
thought it was going to be much longer.
Success!
That was lovely.
There we go. So yeah, Firestone Walker, they're ooh.
Oh.
Is it a little? Oh, I think it might be a little. Maybe we got it too close to the freezer.
What? Oh, I thought.
I was gonna say it's a little thick.
Maybe
It's
sitting
a
too close.
chewy beer.
Maybe that's why I was having some issues.
Oh, I want lumpy
I
ice.
just needs a swirl. I think just the top, whatever was in the neck, was a little too cold.
Yeah. We were freezing the beer. You know, we're making an ice beer. There we go. Cheers. Let's go.
There we go. Cheers.
Here we go.
That is so good.
What's the percentage on that?
It's 5.7.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So
It's really nice. It's like tart, some bright,
Yeah.
bright lemon notes.
Got a very long finish to it.
yeah. And if I recall, it's from 2018. So it's actually when this beer is young, and you get it like if you would have had it in 2018, that nectarine is just pow.
Like powering through.
Yeah, big time. With time, it kind of
Yeah.
it mellows and it dissipates.
It's very subtle, but it's. I mean, not subtle. Subtle's a wrong word, but it's still there. But it's
yeah.
just not way in your face. But it keeps rolling on the back of my tongue. It's just the finish on it is great.
It's got that Moorish note to it, right? Like it's because it's so tangy, you want to revisit it because you're like, oh, that's really good.
You want more? That's
Yeah,
what more
Moorish.
is. Oh, that
Where's
was
my
it.
grandpa story?
But that's the thing. So it's like
That's like crushable.
Yeah, can we start using that instead
yeah,
of
that is right.
What's
It's
Moorish?
so much
Two
Moorish.
words.
But like, we all talk about like where you buy beers, you bring beers home, you get beers, and then your fridge fills up, right? So it's like I was digging around in the fridge. We were talking before we started the season, like, oh, well, what beers do you have in the fridge? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I started going through. I'm like, oh, I still have that. And I mean, that was when I went to go see Jim, the one of the brewers who makes it, and we went up to see him, and I got it back then, and it was 4 years ago. Right. Yeah, and I'm like, it's still in my fridge. What am I doing? Like,
it's crazy how stuff gets stuck in the back of the fridge.
Yes. I mean, yes. And there's some things where it's like, I mean, in all honesty, this beer probably should have been drank 3 years ago, like at its peak, right? And then there's other beers like that JW Lee's where it's like, who cares? You can probably drink that in 10 years and it'd still be fun, great, right?
Yeah.
But you probably have something buried in the back of your fridge.
I have 50-50 Eclipses that Dave has given me for my birthday. Like, I remember one of them was my 40th birthday, so it was a few years ago. And it's been in the back of my fridge, and I'm like, but it's the 50, I'm like, it'll be fine. You know, they finished in bourbon barrels, and I was like, we can drink it next year, and it'll still be probably great. So.
Do you still keep a lot of beers?
I've got a few.
Like, you just cellar and...
Yeah, I tend to, things like that on the racks tend to be like, oh, if someone's celebrating a birthday, or we're going out to dinner somewhere, and we're like, you know what, let's grab this, because it'd be fun to try. Especially those like large format beers where it's just better to have people around because they're old, they're rare, like this, you know. It's like,
and nobody wants to sit and drink 22 ounces of this rad bottle by yourself.
And even 12 ounces of this is sort of like, it's sort of more fun to share it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you? So my question for you, and I know that I'm not supposed to interview you.
This doesn't follow the format of the show. No, that's not what this show's about. We ask you the questions.
And I don't know if you already touched on the subject, but so for me, I know that there were two things that happened. There was this like little nerdy cocktail renaissance that happened that would not have gone anywhere had it not been for Mad Men. Mad Men.
The old-fashioned craze.
Mad Men is, I feel, is the reason that little tiny nerdy cocktail renaissance has come as far as us talking about beer cocktails on your show. Really? Where do you think that beer, because you guys have like beer cultures the same way, like everybody was drinking sort of like
macro beers,
right? So where was that for you guys? Was there like
I think it's happening right now because of the art of beer.
Check with us next week.
Oh, that was great. That was right on cue. That was like the layup for the dunk.
Oh my God!
We just got renewed for 6 more seasons after that.
With your sly co-host.
Join us for Jen Ackrill on the couch from now on.
That was pretty. No. That was really good though. Nice.
I don't know if there was like a national pinpoint movie. Like that was like where you had a phenomenon of a TV show, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe it was like that old fashioned and whatever. But and beer, I feel like or at least craft beer has gone through multiple. It wasn't one like catalyst, right?
It was like a chipping away, right? The IPA guys just started.
Well, it was a slow growth from the '80s, right? If you think about it, right? It was you had Anchor, and then you had Sierra Nevada, and it was this really slow. I mean, you think about it, like from when those guys started in 78, 79, 80 to where we are now. It wasn't like a 10-year span. It was 40 years of, and then in the mid 90s, if you think about it, it all collapsed, right? Where you think about that whole, they used to call it macro brewery, right? Mm-hmm. And that all went to shit, right? Like everybody was investing in macrobreweries, and then they all started making shit beer, and it almost died, right? And then you had the late '90s where you had a lot of the San Diego breweries kind of came up, right? You had the Ballast Points and Stones and Green Flashes, right? Mm-hmm. And then you had the Dogfish Heads, that new generation, and even some of the later ones like Deschutes, or in the late '80s, Deschutes, Rogue. But it was like this.
Yeah.
I think the other side of it is, I used to work for a distributor, and when restaurants would open, we'd go in and train people on beer and train people on wine and make cocktails and all those kinds of things. And one of the things we talked about was just the sort of relative exclusivity of wine. You can basically only grow grapes on around the 40th parallel. So, California, France, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. But grain and beer, you can kind of grow it anywhere. Yeah. So sort of in the world, beer is much more of an every person's drink, and so it's a lot more accessible. And honestly, even at the JW Lee's that we drank earlier, that even at $12, that's a lot for a beer. But And when we started in the cocktail world, you could get a great cocktail for $8 or $10,
No, I know.
which I think was also what helped make that thing happen. I sort of pity people who are trying to get into the cocktail world right now, where you have to go and spend 14, 16, 18 bucks
Convince somebody to buy
have
a
a great,
$15 cocktail.
legitimately a great cocktail, but I'm only having one
Yeah.
$18 drink
Yeah.
before I'm switching to a beer or something that's,
Yeah, that's fair.
But
a
if you're
little
in New
bit more
York City, it's
affordable.
a $25 drink already. I mean, cocktails in New York are
any hotel.
are getting
Yeah, so
crazy
as,
right
as
now.
that 40-year history of craft beer, it's something that's accessible kind of to everybody. To get great French Bordeaux is not on my
not
budget.
accessible. And hell, now even getting like just middle of the road Italian wine, you
Now that's starting to like,
$25,
Yeah.
right? Like there's so much is just kind of crept up. But yeah, you're right. Like even that bottle, it might have been $12,
Yeah.
for something that took probably from start to finish.
Shit, I got
a-
that whole 12-pack of Rolling Rock for $12.
But that took like a year and a half to make.
Yeah.
From the time they brewed it to the time they released
Yeah.
it, right? It had to age it, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's-
that's what the aging is, because you're using your real estate to age.
Yeah,
That's why
you're
everything-
sitting on it.
You start looking
You're
at
paying rent
not
on
even just
something that's
yeah,
not making any
paid for the
beers, but
ingredients
you start
already.
looking at whiskeys or any of that stuff that's cognacs aged. That's why the prices are so high,
Well,
because
Yeah.
you're housing it forever.
you you can't get Buffalo Trace, right? Because people started realizing like, well, I can't get the really expensive stuff, so I might as well, it's like I'll go get this.
Now I can't get that anymore.
But no, you're right. I mean, I think it's like, you have all of these, there are still affordable luxuries, but there's like this growth of palettes and change. And honestly, a lot what helped fill in the gaps where there were downsides was imports. And it was primarily like the Belgian beers. And they were brilliant in their approach. Like if you really think about it, Belgian beer that's been imported to the US has never gone down in price. If you think about it, right? Like Chimay Blue or Delirium Tremens, they set a price point as a premium product, right? It was always more expensive.
Yeah.
And they stuck to it because what they came in and they said, this beer is here. It's an upper echelon of.
So they're marketing to a certain clientele too.
Absolutely,
Well,
but
the Maker's Mark did that too. Like they're like, it's fancy whiskey.
yeah,
When there wasn't fancy whiskey, right?
And they've stuck to it. I mean, some have like changed, like scheduled their price points a little lower now, but that sort of filled the gap when, say, American craft brewing was going through its rough parts, where there was so many of them and they kind of weren't. I mean, in all honesty, I think some of it's happening now with American craft brewing. There's so many craft breweries that they're not all good.
Yeah.
I mean, just because there's 9,000 or 10,000 in the country, you go into places and you're like, that beer needs a lot.
really
That
terrible.
beer needs a lot of work, and it's not being an asshole. It's just going like, dude, like,
Regular constructive
yeah,
feedback,
it's
you
like
know?
But a
you're.
lot of it too is like just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely.
Well, doesn't mean you're good at it.
Exactly. Just because like somebody gave you a bunch of money and you have this like nice, clean, like beautiful like brewery, did you make good beer?
Yeah.
No.
Well, like if I won a lottery tomorrow and I opened a brewery, I promise you, I'm not a brewer. My beer would probably suck. So, but just because you can doesn't mean.
But you
should.
would also probably like engage somebody that was good and.
I don't know. My ego's pretty big. I would think I can do it myself.
And then you just call it Daniel Bruce's shitty craft beer.
Do you
There's a thing to shitty beer. No.
do you have a beer that's not mass market macro that you remember trying in your lifetime where you were like, holy shit, I didn't know beer could get this way?
So not Busch Light.
We're gonna leave Busch Light and we'll move Keystone to the side.
No old Milwaukee.
No old Milwaukee.
None of that stuff.
No Iron
Old-
City.
Old Swill. So I'll own my ignorance of beer on your show in front of all of your awesome beer people. I didn't drink beer, and I attribute it to the fact that I didn't go to college. So I didn't get introduced to beer. So my first experience with beer was probably like Busch or Keystone Light when I was 17. I tried it once, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing this again.
Well,
And
your
then-
palate was smart.
Right. And also my grandpa's beer when I was little. But then, 20 years later, I had a girlfriend that we went surfing in Pacific in California. Pacifica. Pacifico is on Maui, and a cute little restaurant. You should go check it out.
Mari, her friend Mari.
Hey, Mari. But Pacifica, California, and she said at the end of every surf session, there's a beer, and I was like, I don't drink beer, and she was like, here, have this Tecate, you'll be fine. Yeah. And so for me, that's when I say that, like, that for me was eye-opening, because I was like, oh, it's like refreshing, and it's part of this celebration that we had, that we didn't die.
I went out in the water and I came back in one piece.
Shark-infested water, freezing cold.
I'm in one piece.
I didn't stand up, but I didn't die. And this Tecate, and that was when I appreciated it. And I think
bet it tasted really good.
It was
too.
delicious.
It's always the best beer is after you surf or you snowboard. It's like the best
After
beer on
you
the road.
didn't die.
Trail run.
So now if you were ever to jump out of a plane, you'd probably like crack a Tecate, right? You'd be like, I didn't die.
I have jumped out of a plane. And actually, I was attached to a person that jumped out of a plane. I didn't necessarily do
So
it
you're
myself.
pulled out of a
You
plane.
said, no, I changed my mind.
Oh, yeah, no, it was not fun. I don't want to ever do it again. But now that, like, I've gone through those, like, that lager phase. Now I'm like, because I was so nervous to try something that would either A, knock me on my ass, or B, was like too, I'm going to use the word earwax. That bitter. Everybody has accidentally scratched their ear and bit their nail and been like, that's a hoppy IPA.
Confessions on the art of drinking.
Yeah, but since now I'm more open to try different things, and so this for me is like this really cool space where I can try new beers.
That's awesome. Well, that's what this show is all about. Trying new beers, experiencing new things, learning new things. You taught me a few things. This has been awesome. Thank you everybody for joining us, and check us out on the next one.